This video is about dichotomous keys. Right? Dichotomy keys are used to classify and identify. Okay, used to classify and identify unknown organisms. So usually, how they work is you'll have a characteristic X and a characteristic Y, or more often than not, uh, you'll have a question, right? Question one, where it talks about characteristic X, and then you have yes and no. And to the side of that, you will have something directing you. So yes, dot, 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 go to 2, or no, dot, 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 go to 3. In question 3, will ask about characteristic Y. Question 2 will ask about characteristic Z, and then under 3, you'll have yes, dot, 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 and then organism A, no, dot, 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 organism B, Z, if it's yes, dot, 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 organism C, no, dot, 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 organism uh, D, right? That's how a dichotomous key usually works. So you'll be given pictures with very clear characteristics, and you'll be given the dichotomous key, and you'll be asked to identify which creature is which species. You're going to be asked to match the species to the creature. So you'll have to answer the questions, look at the number of legs, it could be the number of legs, the body, whether it has a cephalothorax, if it's warm-blooded, cold-blooded, has limbs, has scales, has wings, has multiple eyes, has simple eyes, has compound eyes. Could be anything, right? Any characteristic. And when you want to make dichotomous keys, you're going to look at common characteristics. So let's practice making dichotomous keys. So we have an easy example here. We have a bunch of shapes. So now let's identify some common characteristics, right? Uh, the first thing that stands out to me is that we have two shapes which have four sides, and these two shapes, they have a pointy bottom, and we have this, and this. These three shapes, they have vertices. And I believe we can go ahead with this. So now that we've identified, certain common characteristics, let's try making one. So the first question we're going to ask is, do they have vertices, right? Because we have three who do and three who don't. So vertices. So you're going to have your option yes and no. So option A, if it's yes, then let's go to question 2. If it's no, let's go to question 3, right? Now, our next question, right? So we're looking at, yes, they do have vertices. So let's look at this. This has a vertex, this has a vertex, this has a vertex. So since these have pointy bottoms, right? Let's use that as our second question. So two of them do have pointy bottoms, two of them don't, right? So question 2 is a pointy bottom. If the answer is yes, remember, go to 4. The answer is no, then we'll go to 5. Okay, now our third question is, okay, I'm going to do it here, so, to the right, but you should put it one below the other. Our third question is, so It's to classify the ones that don't have any vertex. So that's this shape, and this shape. Okay. So what's common between any two of these shapes? You could look at rotational symmetry, perhaps. So these two figures have a rotational symmetry of order 2, while this has rotational symmetry of order 4, right? So let's look at rotational symmetry. So here there's another way you can do this. It doesn't have to be yes and no. However, if you do start with yes and no, it is better to just stick to yes and no questions. But I will address the second type of question just for an example. So order 2 and order 4. Now we have our first classification because actually I have made a mistake. Our first classification is actually here. There was no need to go to 5, right? So if it has a vertex, which 1, 2, and 3 do, and if it does have a pointy bottom, which 1 and 2 do, this is left, right? So actually our first classification would have been here. I'm going to call the shape A, B, C, D, E, and F. Right, so no is going to be A. My apologies. Now, if it does have order 2, here we'll go to 5. No. Else, if it has order 4, it's shape D. Now let's look at our fourth question. So, we are trying to differentiate between uh, shape E and shape F. So shape E has only one vertex. Shape F has more than one vertex. So let's have that as our question. One vertex, not vertex, vertex. So if it's yes, we have shape F, and if it is no, we have shape E. Our last question is going to pertain to classifying shape B and shape C. Right? Now we look at shape B and shape C. You can look at the fact that C has a bumpy surface and B has a smooth surface. So our question 5 could be, does it have a smooth surface? If our answer is yes, we have shape B, and if our answer is no, we have shape C. So that's how we make a dichotomous. And now moving on to something more complex, we have these monsters, I guess. Right? So the first thing we'll notice is that 1, 2, 3, 4 have 2 eyes. So let that be our first question. Or number of eyes, right? So number of eyes is 2. Go to question 2. And not 2. Go to question 3. Right? Let's just do question 3 now and get that out of the way. Uh, so this is monster 1, monster 2, or monster A, B, C, D, E, F. Right? So question 3 will pertain to not two eyes. That's monster B and monster F. So now again, you could ask the number of eyes. Sorry, B and D, not B and E, B and D. So if it's 1, we have D. If it's 3, we have B. Now looking at A, C, E, and R, C, E, and R. Sorry, A, C, E, and F. E and A, E, and F have an open mouth. C, E, and F have two legs and hands, while A does not. Okay, we can classify based on the number of teeth. If they have an even number of teeth, it's A and F. Odd number of teeth is C and E. So let's do that. Right, so question 2 is number of teeth. It's even, go to 4. If it's odd, go to 5. Now question 4 is if there's an even number of teeth. So that's A and uh, F, right? So we could do has hands or and does not have hands. So has hands, yes. Uh, that's F. It does not have hands, that's A. And our final question, we will be comparing alien C and E, or monster C and E. So we could talk about if their mouth is open. So if the mouth is open, it is alien E, and if it isn't, it's alien C. Right? That's easy. Now coming to how an actual dichotomous key in biology would work. Here we have four insects, right? Firstly, we have A is a bee, B is a firefly, C is a dragonfly, and D is a lady bird. Right? So, uh, option one, we're going to look for something to classify any two pairs. Now you notice that all four of them have three pairs of legs, six legs, because they're all insects and they have antennae, although it's not visible in the dragonfly. We could classify it based on the exoskeleton. So the wings are in the exoskeleton or not. So in uh, if it's yes, we'll go to 2, and if it's not, go to 3. So in question 2, if the wings are in the exoskeleton, we'll be comparing the ladybird and the firefly. So when comparing the ladybird and the firefly, uh, when comparing this, we could talk about the shape of their body, right? So if it is elongated, that's going to be B, the firefly, and if it's round, we're going to have D, the ladybird. Now, when we're comparing A and C, you can look at the direction of the where the wings are pointing. So, in the first case, the B, the wings are pointing towards the body, and in the case of dragonfly, it's away from the body. So, towards the body is A, away from the body is. We're going to do one last example, right? And that's this. So here you can make the dichotomous key yourself, but I'll help identify certain key characteristics, right? So when we look at this, and one thing you might notice is that A, B, C, and F, right? These are one singular variable, while D and E are multiple, right? Uh, all of them are, have parallel, branching veins, not parallel, intersecting veins. So they're all going to be dichots. Uh, A and F have smooth edges, and B and C have jagged edges. Right? So that's how you're going to, differentiate between A, B, C, D, E, F in the preliminary stages. Now, actually identifying each one, let's compare D and E first. You could, for D and E, you could talk about whether they originate from, a single point. If it is yes, that's an E, that's E. If it's not, it's a D, right? Now to differentiate between A and F, you could talk about whether it's elongated or not, right? If it is elongated, it's F. If it isn't elongated, it's A. And finally, for B and C, uh, you could talk about whether it's has multiple, you know, tiny rough edges, or if it ends at a sharp tip, perhaps. If it does, that's going to be C, and if it doesn't, that's B. Let's see this as a rounded tip, that's a sharp tip. So you can make this dichotomous key at home.